Okay, I'm still waiting for the benzos to kick in, and I'm actually like totally cool with this beer now. But I think I'm gonna have to hit it with something harder if I'm gonna draw any blood. But I thought I may as well give it a little bit of time. And I thought I'd use this time to have a little bit of a. I'm just gonna have a little bit of a fucking beef about being like. I'm in a position that on the circumstantial level, the lived experience level, which is often very superficial, in the same position that a lot of tangata whenua in themselves as individuals or as, whānau and whakapapa. And I feel like, I don't know, like, I really, 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 really have always really resented that lived experience. Like, I get the feeling that I'm treated differently because of my race, but I've had enough experiences to really think that that's the case, and also just to get kind of dismissed a bit derisively with a bit of humour when I, use terminology that. Like Germans have a lot of words that are really, really, they say things that there's nothing in English. And the same thing goes with Maori. Like, I think, kia kaha, I don't think that's, I don't think the translation really works in English. Schadenfreude doesn't work so much in English. You just have to know the meaning of the word. You learn it like you would any other borrowed word. Mātauranga, same sort of thing. And I'm getting a little bit sick of like Mātauranga being like, I don't feel that I have a particular culture, because I have a culture, but I don't have an ethnic, like a racial culture. And as a loner and as an SB, my culture is really kind of my own. And I can take a lot of interest in other people's way of doing things. And, this sounds really, I think anthropology as a whole is a fucking really kind of like insulting sort of area of investigation, and like it's just so patronising. But in another way, it isn't. I mean, it used to be done in a better way, and then it became less insulting when cultural relativism came in the 70s, but that was just wrong. Like, anthropologists are not qualified. They have no fucking business saying that every culture is equal. They fucking don't. And I'm not talking about Maori and non-Maori, or shall we say New Zealand whiteys. I'm talking about every fucking culture. Like, there are some shit cultures and there are some good cultures. The cultures that we like, I'm taking on this responsibility that's not fucking mine. Like, we whiteys. Well, those are the fucking Spaniards, for fuck's sake. I've got a little bit of Spanish in me, and that may be apparent to some people, but that hardly makes me responsible for what happened to a lot of South American countries. They didn't manage to get to Bolivia, but they, or at least Bolivia, put up a very successful resistance. Argentina was fucked by the Spaniards. Um, um, the Philippines were as well. I mean, I don't know, like, I don't want to get into all of that. I mean, sometimes colonialism does good things, you know, sometimes it does. I'm not saying the rights or wrongs of the motivation, but, you know, you can see that certain influences actually end up to greatest prosperity or whatever, even if it's, you know, good things can come of bad motives and bad things can come of good motives and that kind of thing. But I'm sort of just, I'm feeling like an outsider in a lot of places that I go to, and, you know, like, they're, you know, like havens that I'm supposed to go to, like I've been into emergency housing places, and then I've been to other places, and I don't want to speak specifically about anything. I'm going to speak very generally. But there's two things. Like, one, like, I'm from Wellington, so obviously I'm going to be more, you know, I've been really like saturated in politically correct culture, and that's what I said to Terry, who's Māori, who's been helping me. And, you know, like, I've also taken a personal interest in certain places and concepts because that's what I'm like, and it's not about being PC, and it's not about anything in particular. It's not about a particular belief system. It's just about having curiosity in places. And like, I've been to Ratana because my boyfriend and I were exploring, you know, in the Rangatiki hub from Turakina near Martin, and came across the Ratana. And, you know, like, I read a lot about, you know, we read the legend or the, you know, the history of, you know, like, I have curiosity in things, and I, you know, one of those words again that doesn't, well, it's famous for not having an English translation, and that's one of the fucking major problems with the Treaty of Waitangi, is that rangatiratanga does not have a good translation, so we just have to learn the definition of rangatiratanga, which is rough, you know, like if you want to give a rough translation, you'd say it's self-determination, but self means something different in Māori than it does in, you know, the English, you know, to the English settlers and so forth. And it doesn't mean that the fucking honkies are wrong or right. It's got nothing to do with it. It's just like, fuck, translating very important concepts from one language to another is fucking difficult, and mistakes are going to be made. I'm not making excuses. I'm just speaking in a very narrow sense. And I feel like I find myself using Māori terminology because we use a lot of, like, we use borrowed words, like a lot of words are borrowed into other languages, and in Māori, the word bee for, you know, honeybee or whatever, bee is pi. It's very cute, but that's a borrowed word, right? And, you know, like, I don't know what it's like to be Māori. I think it's very, very, as I've said, it's very, very different in Wellington than it is in Christchurch. And I find Māori here a lot more down to earth, I suppose. And I find Whitey's a lot more down to earth as well. But then the down to earth can be, you know, that's not all it is. It can be very predatory, and I don't know, like, I just feel like I'm left out. And like, tonight was the second session where I've, you know, like, I've just blasted my own music, and by my own music, like, I'm travelling extremely light. My computer's so fucked that all of my music had to go into the cloud, And if I want to play anything spontaneously, I can't. I have to fucking download it from the cloud, and then for some reason, every time I do that, it duplicates, and I can't even play an album without fucking having the duplicate. And like, it's just like I don't have my speakers, I don't have my fucking stuff. I'm not a user of, I don't have Spotify. I haven't got a, like, I've just fucking moved on from fucking CDs, for fuck's sake. I've still got an iPod that I've just got used to. Like, like, I don't have a lot of control, so I put on the Hauraki, which, speaks to me. The rock is rubbish. Like, the rock I feel is for fucking bogans, and I feel like Hauraki's for kind of the more discerning whitey. Because I like all kinds of music, and I appreciate, like, I'm sorry, I'm not into Black Sabbath. I'm sorry, it's dumbass music. That may be an uneducated opinion. Whereas I listen to, well, I don't make a habit of listening to AC/DC because I find it a bit same, but like the Ramones, but, AC/DC's intelligent music, and Tool's intelligent music, I find, Metallica unintelligent, but, for the second time in a reasonably short time, because the last time I was outside, I'm just like, fuck it, man, like, I'm not just going to have a quiet little mouse just sitting here. Like, I'm not the only white person, but I pretty much am, and, like, I just find, like, I've had, in both places, like, I've had, sort of befriended a slightly older Maori woman, but I almost feel like I'm a bit of a curiosity or something. I don't know, like, like, I really, 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 really resent the racialisation of politics in New Zealand. I really, really, really resent it. When it comes to basically what the aim is basically apartheid. But that doesn't at all have anything to do with the fact that I can take a great interest in other people's cultures and the meanings for them. But by the same token, why do I have to give over my identity and my beliefs? I don't have a I'm Scots and English. I don't have a Scottish culture, and I don't have an English culture. I'm a fucking Aspie. I don't have anything, and today was the second day that I've just kind of gone out and blasted my fucking bogan music, I suppose. But then I've, cranked out Cypress Hill. And Cypress Hill's not, it's like all of them are Hispanic. There's one guy who's Afro-Caribbean, but it's not African American hip hop, and I mean hip hop because hip hop's the culture. It's not. A lot of people think hip hop is like more mellow rap. It's not. Hip hop's the culture. Rap is the music element of the culture. So even really mellow rap is rap. It's not hip hop, and certainly the second and part of the third album from Cypress Hill were very mellow. I mean, Black Sunday's mellow as, but it's rap. And, like, African Americans don't own Cypress Hill, Maori don't own Cypress Hill. They are just as much a part of what I go through than, any Indigenous New Zealander would, like, these are personally meaningful. And so I was sort of going out there, and I started off being a bit of a bogan, and then I was just basically I didn't intend to make any statements, and I'm like, fuck, I'm going to play Rise Up, and I'm going to play Pigs, and I'm going to, and I felt like, I just feel like I'm not, I don't need fucking respect, but I just don't need fucking disrespect, like, I'm really interested in tikanga Māori. I'm really interested in the generational way of doing things, which is culture over time. But I'm also interested in, that broadness of this of the network, the family, the whānau network. But when Narissa, who's Māori, and Sean visited with Terry the other day, like, I was making it really clear that, ngā mātou waka, touts itself as being very whānau based, and I just had to be very frank with them up front and say, look, I don't have whānau, and I can't work with a system that's insisting on whānau support and interaction, because I don't have that. And I was really pleased with Narissa saying, actually, well, we Māori don't, it's not all fucking sunshine and fucking rainbows in our families either, And thank you for your honesty, because we know that, and, you can't compare the best of Māori with the worst of non-Māori or white, whiteys. Pākehā just means non-white, non-Māori. It doesn't mean white. So Chinese are Pākehā, Indians are Pākehā. And Pākehā isn't a term, it doesn't have a definition of an insult, but it certainly can be a bit of a stand-in for sort of ignorant person. And it's like, well, we're not ignorant about our mātauranga, and we all have our own mātauranga. Like, I never stop fucking hearing about lius. And I have my own personal mātauranga because I'm an SB, and we deal with reality in a very different way than anybody else, and that goes for Māori, that goes for blacks, that goes for people, autism cuts through any culture, and we're often very isolated, and we're in our own belief systems, and they're quite often more fucking grounded in fucking reality, like they autism sort of has nothing to do with anyone's sort of sort of self-flattery that their culture is better than anybody else's. Like, we march to the beat of our own drums, and I show curiosity, but today it's like, I'm just sort of sick of being treated like I'm naive and innocent. Like, I am fucking naive. I'm going to turn this light. Like, I'll have you know that my naivety has given me a load of fucking life experience, because I accidentally flattered with a skinhead. I accidentally moved in with a skinhead, and and I've told this story quite a few times. So I accidentally lived with a skinhead. Now, accidentally living with a skinhead does not protect you from what happens in skinhead culture, and it did not protect me from the schism basically between Wellington skinheads and Satan's slaves, which involved blood, and it did not protect me from being circled by a whole bunch of Wellington skinheads and basically being coerced into sucking one of their dicks. Now, that did not happen, thank goodness, but it would have happened if my flatmate hadn't stepped in to, basically make sure that didn't happen. My naivety, I have stumbled into so many fucking situations like I've had a lot more contact with the hard side of life than a lot of other people would, because I'm such a fucking naive, fucking trusting meh. But like I've fucking had a, a, a West Coast fucking triad nomad member in my fucking living room, like shooting the breeze, and had no idea until he lifted his shirt, and I went, "You're a nomad?" And he's like, "Shut up," because like, I'm sorry, but like, yeah, I am naive, but I've been put in loads of fucking situations. Like, I've totally accidentally hung out with loads of different fucking gangs, white and brown and fucking everything. Like, I've hung out with Mongrel Mob. I've hung out with, BP. Like, I've I've been in so many fucking dangerous situations that I haven't, not even, I mean, I'm not saying those are dangerous situations. I don't think they were dangerous at all. Well, apart from the skinhead shit. Skinheads are fucking monsters. They're a very different kind of, they're a very different kind of people than, there is a very different, yeah, no, it's very, very, very different. They are very, very scary, very, very scary people. And, yeah, I got halfway through watching the Green Room, that movie that came out a couple of years ago about that sort of punk band that got booked in that kind of pretty off the beaten track ska club. And they were like really, ska. Check who's hosting the ska night, check who's hosting the ska night. Skinheads think they own ska. And everything I saw, apart from the, the Ben Kingsley sort of mastermind, criminal overlord, that kind of thing, everything was just all too fucking familiar for me. And I had to, not that I went through that kind of brutality, but I'm very well aware that was a very accurate portrayal of skinheads. And when the dogs were let out, that's when I was just getting really queasy, and I just left the two guys I was with, and I'm going to the bar. Like I've learned a fuckload about darker sides of life and people, and also the lighter side of those darker sides of people. Like, I would never have believed that the guy I was, nattering to was a nomad, and he disclosed that he was by, lifting his shirt, really only because I confided in him that I was on bail and I'd been beaten up with the cops, because, like, I'm being very careful here to not specify who's what, but I'm really, like, I enjoy all kinds of cultural entertainment. I mean, not all kinds. I find some fucking boring, like fucking Krishna's Dairy. Oh my god. I didn't actually see Krishna's Dairy. I saw the follow-up to that, and it was like, please, and don't give us these seats to sit on, like that pantomime shit. But you know what I mean, like, I'm not trying to fit in, and I'm not trying to give over my own beliefs, and I don't want to give over over my own beliefs, and I don't want to be treated like someone who doesn't know anything, like a little pet at best, and I don't want to be shunned because I'm the wrong colour, and that has happened, and I know, like, I'm really, really grateful to the neighbours who have alerted me to the fucking, the fucking fuzz turning up, but, and I yeah, I just want to, like, I don't want to be like 3/4 of a fucking human being to other people who are in my situation, like, and I'm sure that happens to Maori in Christchurch. I imagine it does, because I knew enough Christchurch imports in Wellington to know how racist they still were. But that doesn't mean that I have to take it back. Like, I'm going through fucking hell, and thanks to those who have recognised in me that I'm being persecuted, and I'm homeless for a reason that's much bigger than the reason that some other people are homeless. And I've been through shit that people who think they own police persecution as a culture have not experienced from police. And I don't know. Well, it's perfectly clear, thanks very much, that I'm not tangata whenua. Then what am I? There was that Australian storybook called, it's one of my childhood books. It was called What Am I? Yeah, I can't remember what it was called. It had a very, I shouldn't say Aboriginal, I should say Native Australian. And that's not being PC, that's just like, don't call them Aborigines, that's just a generic term for the original peoples. It's like calling the alien in the Alien movies the xenomorph. They're not xenomorphs. Xenomorph is a descriptor. Xeno means foreign, and morph means shape, so it's an unfamiliar being, really. It's not a name of it, it's just a description. A bit like Pakeha is. It's just like, these are not Maori, like it's almost like saying xenomorph. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't have a people. I don't know. I don't have. I just feel like I need just a bit more respect, really, to be honest,